Hi everyone, we're going to try this one more time. This is the first time that I've tried a podcast kind of interview format on my channel, and I'm very excited to have Hugo Edlund here. The first thing I would like to ask you is I hear the word Nazi thrown around a lot. So, my question to you is can you talk a little bit about the group you were in, and would you consider yourself Nazis? And the reason I say this is because we just hear the word Nazi brought around and said so many times in today's political climate. Especially, I hear it a lot in the United States. But it sounds. I'm curious from you that perspective, and also like, was Nazi something that was idolized, or would you consider it different or the same? So, just take it away from there.
Yeah, so if I start to talk about the movement, we never called ourselves for Nazis. We called ourselves or referred ourselves as National Socialists. And I don't know, the ground elements is socialism and race. And I agree on what you're saying. I think Nazi is a word that is used all the time, and maybe use it towards people that don't agree with your opinions and so on. Yeah.
Great. So, what I want to hear next is if you could just like talk about how did you get to this point, like joining this far right group. You can maybe mention the group, but also like how did you get involved? How old were you? What happened there? Because that is what I'm very interested in, the growth you had from being in a group, but then now fighting racism.
Yeah, so I have always been a kid that has been interested in society and also political questions. And when I was about 12 years old and I was in sixth grade, the Nordic resistance movement had like a public thing in my city, Umeå. And I don't know, my city or town is kind of small, so many people know a lot of things about each other. So this thing got really big, the media, social media, everyone was talking about it. So I remember when my teacher took it up and showed us like pictures, videos, and so on from that day. And I don't know why, but I got so interested in that group. I thought it was so cool with the shields, the flags, fighting with police officers, standing for something. They had so many people against their cause or what they wanted to say, their message. And then I remember also my teacher saying something he said something like, these guys are just on drugs, they are crazy people, blah, 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 blah. And I think I always have been kind of a smart kid, So I thought that comment was really subject, and I asked him, I remember, like, how do you know these people were on drugs? The media hasn't said anything. The police didn't take any drugs, or. So then I just started to read on their page, and that continued for about 2 years. And I like added old men on Facebook, members, talking with them.
Can I just ask one question? Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt, but when
sure.
you said read about them, were you following them online, or were you reading them? Like, where were you following them?
On their webpage.
Okay, so you visited the web page after that and got when you were
Exactly.
interested.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and then this old man contacted you on Facebook or
No,
something. Oh, you
I
contacted.
added people from the
Okay,
organization, and I mean, I was 12 years old, so I didn't like read political text or something. I was more looking at, pictures, videos from public things, demonstrations. I It was a cool thing, um, and I did that for like 2 years. Then the contact with the organization got more intense. Uh, but I think the main thing that drove me to the organization was, first of all, my age. I was 12 years old, and I think when you are 12 years old, you want to be something, important things when you're 12. You're gonna have cool friends, you're gonna do cool things. uh, I wanted a identity or something.
when you guys started talking, like you said it started to get like a little bit more serious, but like was it just like friendly? Were they kind of talking about the politics so much of it, or was it more like you were at that point just kind of feeling, I guess, accepted and a part of something that was different, like being a rebel in a sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that feeling that you just described, but also, you're standing for something that is not accepted in
Okay.
society. And you have like this big mission or cause, you're gonna save society from this and that, or race, blah blah blah, is dying. All that stuff makes you feel important, and you're doing something that is bigger than yourself.
I
I
guess.
I think that drew me.
I have to ask about this then because I've always curious about this, like with your story and everything else as we're moving forward. Was there ever a time period where YouTube played? And what I mean by that is like I'll watch, like, it's different now, but I would watch like one video about flat Earth because I was kind of curious about flat Earth, and then suddenly I was getting suggested all this content. And for myself, I like to look at, I'm like you, I'm really interested in politics, so I like to see everybody talking, sometimes no matter how crazy. And maybe I watched a video here or there, and then maybe it'd be far right or far left, and then YouTube just starts throwing videos at me. And I'm curious, at like at your age, being young and impressionable, if you saw that as well, if the internet played any part in it as well with the videos or.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. That was a big part. I don't think YouTube had any like uh, alt right algorithm, but when you have these kind of contacts, and networks, you get to see a lot of propaganda, videos, articles, and so on. So yeah, internet was an important thing for me.
So now at this point, you've contacted them and been talking a little bit. Take me further along in the story.
Yeah, I think I sent my member application when I was about 14 years old. And they have like a unwritten rule where they don't accept people. You need to be at least 15 years old.
Okay.
So I sent it, and they didn't reply for a year because
Okay.
I was 14. So that was kind of strange for me. Um, but they did invite me to some meetings and so on, so I could meet members in my local members.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
So so then, okay, so you weren't, you had to be 15 then. Then when were you more involved, if you will? Like as like at 15. Another question is, that's like, why do you think they picked the age 15? Is it because I would think of being a teacher like that? When you're 15, you're going through a lot of difficult stuff, and you also got a lot of hormones pumping in at the same time, and you're trying to figure out your own identity as well. Who am I? What am I doing? I see this all the time, just being a teacher. Do you think that that had something to do with it? And then you can move us along further in the story.
I mean, I have thought about it. But I mean, I just think it's a age they picked because they don't want people or kids that are too young. And when I'm looking at the rights you have as 14 and 15 years old and the law,
Okay.
I mean, you don't get any special rights when you get 15. So I just think they picked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're 15 now, and now you're able to join. Take me like a little bit farther through the story, I guess, if you will, and where you're were you learning more about the movement as it moved along? Where,
Yeah. I just want to talk about one thing.
sure.
When I got 15, we had like a recruitment meeting. The nest leader, maybe I should explain what nest is.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that'd be great. And I'm sure some of our audience doesn't know.
Yeah, so the Nordic resistance movement have split Sweden into different areas. And every area have a nest leader. And the nest leader controls every local thing and so on. So I had a recruitment meeting with the nest leader, and that went well. And I was still 15. And then I got a call when he told me that I need to attend to the month meeting to get accepted. And that meeting was in Skellefteå. And that is like 2 hours away with bus.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was a big thing for me. I was 15 years old. I had never really, gone away that long myself without parents or at least checking with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, like, so you guys not gonna accept me if I don't attend the meeting? And, he said, like, I am not telling you anything, but if you want to be a member, you need to show that you can attend to meetings and do things. And yeah, you have a good chance to get accepted if you attend this meeting. So in the end, I took the bus to Skellefteå, where I met all the members in the area, in the nest. And I got accepted. And you also have to write a contract where you say, the contract says something similar to all the things you have from the Nordic resistance movement. You need to give it back when you left the organization. You have to be strong, you have to stand up for opinions, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And after that, I just tried to climb in the organization or in positions.
And
So
I can imagine that that age and getting accepted in an age where you're everybody's searching for acceptance.
Yeah.
15 years old, trying to just find a way. So I imagine that was maybe you felt positive at that time. That was probably at that moment a very high point. Like I'm finally in the group.
yeah, absolutely. I've been watching at that time. I've been watching these guys for about 2 years. On their page, on videos, etc. So when I got accepted, that was a really big thing for me, and I felt special. Like I watched these guys on their page on YouTube and so on, and now I am a part of it. So yeah.
And I'm just curious, and then we go back further along in the story. Would this resistance movement, whereas they kind of stand, they say that they're worried about like the Nordic race not being it's like that we have the same in the States, like that they're afraid that white people aren't going to be in power in the United States anymore. But like with someone like me who like lives in Sweden that's white, would I be okay, or would they be mad at someone like me? Or like, I'm just curious where they would stand with that. Would they want me out as well, or is it only people of color, or is it anybody that's just non-Nordic?
This is actually a really fun topic because
because I'm very curious about that.
yeah, when you look back to, Third Reich and Hitler and all that, they had another view on race. I mean, I think today's National Socialists or Nazis or alt-right, you get it?
Mm-hmm.
They have a view that every country that belongs to Europe and that have kind of white people, they belong to the white race. But I mean, Hitler and all these guys didn't share this view, If you were from Croatia or Poland or Russia and so on, you didn't belong to the white race. But you do today. And I think
Interesting.
I think they try to simplify the race question to make it easier for people to argue for race.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really interesting. But to answer your question, you would not get kicked out, and they want to kick out everyone that's not white, basically.
Okay.
If you live outside Europe, you're not white. You don't belong here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've just always been curious about that. But now you said that you were moving up in the ranks, so you can continue from there because I'm super interested.
I don't think I can say something that's really interesting. It was just that I was a kid and I did a lot of things, doing things public, spreading the message with flyers on social media, recruiting other young people at my age. And I was really good at it. So I did my thing, and yeah.
So at this point, looking back, was there like ever a moment where you had like a red flag, or there a moment where you're like, wait a second here, something's not right? Did it happen early on and you weren't sure and you stayed in, or was it as you moved along? You can take it further in the story, but I'm curious about that.
I don't think I had red flags because in some way I was so young in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you want to be something, you have something that you think is bigger than yourself. And I remember when we studied the party program with each other. I remember a member writing a document on Google Drive, with basic arguments for our cause. And I was like studying the answers and the arguments like I would do in school,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think in the beginning I was trying to, is this really a good opinion? Do I think this? It was more like brainwash. So I don't think I had any red flags. But sometimes when I met other members, I could think like, these people looks really bad. They don't have a job. They live with their family. They are kind of old. Like, what are they doing with their lives? I could think that sometimes with some of the members,
Okay.
but not any big red flags like, oh shit, what I am doing, or I need to leave this organization. I think I was too young for that.
Yeah. Okay. So, move me along to like when things started to change, or give me a couple years ahead here. What started to happen in you?
Uh, so basically, over the time I was a member, I have committed crimes, uh, and for I don't know, people that are watching this and are from different countries, we have freedom of speech in Sweden, but we also can get convicted for hate speech. And I have been convicted for hate speech 2 times, I think. The first case was images that I posted on social medias about Jews.
Okay.
And the other thing was me and a friend, party member. We were spraying like swastikas and so on Hitler's birthday in my local city. So then I got convicted for hate speech and I don't know the word for skadegörelse in English. You know it?
No, I have not heard that word. Yeah, you can totally take a quick look and look that one up. Google
Yeah, I
translate
mean
it.
when you do something on buildings and it causes damage,
Okay.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it
So
had that word injury in it or skada, so I wasn't
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Vandalism, I guess we could say in the States, like breaking something, like if stuff gets
Yeah,
destroyed when
exactly.
there's a riot or something. Okay.
Yeah. And on the second thing that I just talked about,
Yeah.
I had so much things going on in my life, you know. I wasn't accepted socially. I had lost many friends. I had lost some of my family members. And you know, in the beginning, you can live with it. You know, you're strong, you're independent, you have a big cause. But I think in the long run, it does hurt you. Uh, and on that night when we sprayed swastikas and so on, the police, I don't know how to say it, raided my house
Okay.
really, really early in the morning, and my family got really upset and so on. So all that stuff combined, you know, the school didn't want me because I caused problem. They kicked me out. I lost a job I had because of my opinions and organization. All that stuff combined made me feel like it made me reflect, you know, over where I was standing right now and where I want to be in, I don't know, 10 years and so on. So that made me reflect over my life and decisions. And at some point, I decided to leave the organization. And I mean, you don't just delete all your opinions over one night.
Okay. Yeah.
And you don't get opinions over one night. So basically, I just left the organization, but I didn't have like any time at the moment to think about all the other stuff. I just wanted to relax, think about everything, and yeah.
Question then, like during this whole process, like when you were spraying swastikas and doing rallies and things like that, was was there ever like hatred for other people brought into you from people, or was it more about like did it become an us and them thing, almost like a sports team? Like maybe you didn't originally have a lot of these thoughts or feelings, but it was brought into you, or like if you saw someone that was like, a different color than you, did you see them as, oh, they're different from me, it's the enemy? how did you have those feelings, or was it more about being in the group? Because I think it's important to talk about, because people. I remember Liam Neeson talked about someone that he knew that had something horrible happen, and that person happened to be black, and then he went out to try to kill a black man, just because he was upset and angry, and he basically did this over a couple days, and he was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This doesn't even make any sense. Why would I go after somebody that has nothing to do with what I did? So I'm curious if there's anything like that with you. Like,
me personally, I didn't really have problems with other races, because I still tried to be smart on a political scale. So I think I looked at it at a bigger picture, you know?
okay.
We need to kick them out because this and that is a problem, you know, or race, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't have a problem with just people that are walking on the street. But I mean, some people do, and some people can join the movement because they maybe got robbed by a specific group of people, you know, or just have a problem with them, a bad experience, I don't know. So you can find all type of reasons why people join the movement. But for me personally, it was more of a cool thing, and to be something, and all that things.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, all this is super interesting, but how was it leaving? Like, I want to get to that part of the story as well. Like, once you realize it's wrong, and you realize that you've lost a lot of friends and family in your school, what led you? Like, what did you do? I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, so I remember, first of all, I basically just left the organization. I cut all the connections, and, you know, lead all groups on social medias and so on with this type of people. And I remember I also made a Snapchat story and just let all people know that I have left the organization. And then I think I just reflected for myself about these questions. Like, do I have these opinions? Where do I want to be in 10 years and so on? I did that for about 2 weeks. And leaving the organization wasn't a problem for me. I think it would be a problem if you do a big thing about it, like I did later on. But first, it was fine, you know, they accepted it. But later on, they wanted the party jacket that you can buy as a member for about $80 or something. And I don't know why. I could just make it all smooth back then. But I wanted the money for the jacket that I had paid for. So 2 members that I recruited them, they came home to me, and one of them had told me in advance that I would get paid for the jacket. So I was accepting them to come that day. So, you know, they knocked on my door, and I go and get a jacket, and meeting them, and they looks at the jacket, and everything is fine. Then I bring up the payment that we talked about, and they I don't know exactly what they told me, but I think it was like, we can't pay you right now, we will pay you later. And I don't know, it got really weird when they said that. So I told them that I can't accept that. You guys told me that you will pay me now. I can hold the jacket for you when you have the money. And they took the jacket from my hands, and I tried to take it back. So we had like a little fight about it. They punched me in my face and in my back, and it was two guys against me, so I had no chance, of course. And I think I also got a blackout. And I don't know. The ugly thing about this story is that my two little brothers saw it all. They stood like close to the door, and the door was open.
Okay.
So they were like screaming to my dad, "Oh, Hugo is getting punched. You need to do something." So they then took the jacket and ran away when my dad, without shoes, was hunting them. And my dad, I think he caught them, and he was like, he didn't do anything, and that was great, of course. And he said, "You guys need to pay Hugo. You guys promised him. If you don't do that, Hugo will make a police report." And I was like, yeah. And they then left. And I called the police on my cell phone in my apartment. Yeah, and the police came. They took us to separate rooms in the apartment, asked us questions, took some pictures on my face. And yeah, we got the trial, you know. They got convicted of, I don't even want to look it up because it will be a hard word.
Sounds like assault or something along those lines is what it would be in the States.
Yeah, assault and arbitrary procedure. Yeah. I don't know.
So what made you want to then, like, it's interesting because you were like, I was, you brought people into this organization. You were really really good at it, and now you've shifted to wanting to take a stand against racism and fight against racism. So where did that start for you? I'm guessing you needed some time for yourself as well to
Yeah.
just like be with your family and friends and just get reacclimated again.
Exactly. I did think over everything for a really long time. But then I was starting to think like I wasn't happy when I was a member in the movement. I wasn't feeling right. And, you know, those things that I experienced as a member in the organization, I mean, at my age, you should not have this experience or be in that position. So I started to think like I want to help kids at my age or younger or older to, I don't know, help them in some way, speak with them, or maybe educate people that can educate others, and so on. So I contacted a Swedish Instagram account, Tänk till. No. Tänkvärt.
Okay.
And they made a post where I wrote about my story, kind of short, you know, Instagram friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And it got really big. So yeah, that was like the beginning.
Well, yeah, and I think it's important to have this. I mean, because if you look at the current climate of the world right now, it's a lot of us and them. At least for me, I got the election happening in the United States, and I just see so much division. I see so much us and them mentality. It's almost like I said, I don't mean to compare it to sports teams, but it's kind of the same logic. Well, I don't like you. Why? Well, because you're different from me. Um, I would feel in today's climate and world with the shift of nationalism in a lot of countries that a lot of these groups are having uh, a rise. I get they're on the rise a little bit. So how do you think it's best to fight them, if you will, not physically, of course, but
Yeah,
to
yeah.
win the battle, uh, but by communicating, of course, speaking.
Are we talking organizations or just people?
I would say people in general,
Yeah.
or yeah, just because I think we got to do it on the people level, you know, to stop the people that want to go into organizations like this.
Well, first of all, when I had teachers talking to me, I remember teachers trying to sit down with me and they tried to have this approach where they told me that my opinions are wrong. You can't think that. This is an awful group. Blah 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 blah.
Okay,
I think that approach is really bad.
I agree.
I think if you use that approach, you're just sending the person down in the dark hole, and that's exactly what happened in my case. But I mean, it's a really hard question. But I think if you really want to help that kind of person, you should talk about everything except their opinions and the organization that they maybe are membered in, and so on. Maybe like talk about their feelings.
Mm.
Like, yeah, I see that you are really mad. Can we talk about it? I see you aren't that happy. Have something happened? You have been really angry, and so on.
So it's more about, and I think I really think what you said is awesome because a lot of times you'll just hear, "No, don't do that. No, that's wrong. You can't do that," and you're afraid to even get into the discussion. I'm thinking as being a teacher myself or something, but I feel that I agree with you that it has to come from a place where you are uh, speaking about someone's feelings, but also you have to let people say what. Even to me, I'm all about free speech. Like you can say whatever you want, whether I like it or not. But then I can listen after I've listened to you, heard you. Then I can give you my take on it, or ask some questions to you, like why do you think this? Why do you think that? Um,
Yeah,
I think that could be really important as well. Because it sounds like to me that like in your instance, like you said, you were really excited, but at the time when you were younger to get into it, do you think that would have been what stopped you from joining? Is could have a teacher have stopped you had they approached it in a different way, or do you feel someone could have for you? Is that why you take that approach?
I mean, that is also a really hard question because at the time and my age, and that was kind of the beginning, maybe it would work, maybe not. But actually, I when I got convicted, I had to talk to, I don't know what they call in English, social workers, in
Yeah.
the
Okay.
state.
Yeah.
So when you're under 18, and when you're 18, when you get convicted, you have to talk to them. They can say something, yeah, 50 hours or something. And when you have these talks, you don't have to talk them with them anymore. So I got this great person, Peter, and he did that thing that I told you about. He never talked about my opinions,
Okay.
and he never talked about the organization. So I was like, what the fuck? Why am I here? You're not speaking about my opinions. So we could like work out together. We could just drive around in the car listening to music, talking about everything except the political stuff,
Okay. Yeah. Because
And
that's what everybody was doing to you, and that wasn't working,
yeah,
obviously. Okay.
yeah, and we came each other really close, and today we are friends outside his job, and I think that's amazing. Um, so yeah, I mean, he proved me that it worked. So
Do you think like the way the current climate is now is healthy in the sense of yeah, there are people that have these really radical ideas, but like I'll give you an example. Like when I first came to Sweden, there'd be like a very far right party. I don't know if it was the same one. They were doing a rally, and then there was another group of people that were upset that they were doing the rally, and so they were screaming at each other. And I guess my point is like nowadays I feel like people are afraid about talking about things. I'm afraid it's going to be taken in the wrong way, or uh, like in your case, it's just getting shut down. Do you think that the current climate is healthy for something like this, or do you think there needs to be a lot of change in today's society to fix, I guess, this problem of division and people getting angry with one another and joining groups like this?
I mean, sure, but at the same time, I think you have these issues on both left and the right side, and the main problem with these groups screaming at each other and maybe starting fights and so on, I have no idea how to fix that one.
Yeah.
But when it comes to young people seeking something and they haven't like experienced life for real, I mean, they are really young, there you have a chance to help them and make them uh, go in a better direction. But when it comes to groups on the right and left side, it's really hard. But I think the climate is bad, and I don't know, at the same time we need to have more knowledge about people seeking to the alt right and so on, trying to understand why, or I mean, why or how can you make that decision?
Do you think that the word like alt right and Nazi is thrown around too much to people that aren't, or do you think there's a lot of people in the alt? Well, I've heard the term like alt light, for example, where there are people
Yeah.
that are alt right that are more like kind of hiding underneath the surfaces. Like maybe I watch this one YouTuber and he'll be talking about something, no mention of his name, but then eventually, no matter what the video is on, it's always that it's immigrants are the problem. He always finds, or it's that the left is always constantly wrong. Uh,
Well, I think it's misused in some cases. I guess you know about the Swedish Democrats.
yes.
I mean, when I was a member, we never saw them uh, as friends. We saw them as enemies along all the other parties, you know? And, and if people are screaming Nazis towards the Swedish Democrats and we were the real Nazis, you know? You get my point, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's I guess what I was saying is like exactly what you said. I was sitting at a dinner one time and met someone I'd never met before, and Trump had been elected, and I think it was right after he had the ban on a lot of Muslim countries, which I wasn't aware that it happened that same day. So he was upset, but we were talking back and forth about the election, and one thing I said to him was just, if you think that everybody that voted for Donald Trump is a racist, Donald Trump's going to get elected again. Something along those lines, or that's part of the problem, because it also has to do with maybe some failed policy on the liberal side or Democratic side. And the guy stood up at the table. We were like in this restaurant and said that in Swedish, I'm not going to eat with this Nazi, and like stormed off. And I guess what I mean is if you are you shouldn't put the party in the same way. But if you put people in that place, if you say you are racist or you are Nazi, if you close them out, they're more likely to go that direction. I feel
Exactly.
that's I guess my point as what I think we need to change in today's society.
And I mean, you find these type of words in both left and right. You know, the left is maybe calling the right for Nazis, and I don't know. When I was in the Nordic resistance movement, everyone or every party or every organization that wasn't agreeing with our message, they were traitors. You know, everyone was traitor that didn't like belong to us or agreed with us. So you can like find this misused word in every party or every political side.
Cool. I have one more thing I'm curious about because you talked about getting in trouble or breaking the law with hate speech. How and this is more of a personal, question, I guess, because like I'm a big believer in like free speech in general, as long as it doesn't cause harm. Or I believe that people should be able to say whatever they want to say, but then you can debate it. Do you think do you think that hate speech is like the laws and stuff is it's ultimately good, or should all speech just be allowed to be spoken?
Uh, I am also a true believer of freedom of speech,
Okay.
and I mean the first thing I got convicted for was memes about use, and like if I would look at it now, like of course that's something I wouldn't like publish today, and I would think it's a nasty thing. But as the same time, I think you should be able to say everything as long as you don't, discriminate someone. Like I shouldn't be able to say to you like I want to kill you or something like that. And it's kind of interesting. Hate speech in the beginning was made because of a man called Lex Åberg, I think. And they made the law because he was being anti. What's the word?
I'm not sure.
He
I'm just
said
big.
things about Jews that was anti-Semitic.
Okay. No, I'm not sure. I was making sure we were still online for a second. I apologize.
Right.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
What
So,
I want to ask you,
but
like, what's? Oh, sorry. Continue.
no. You continue.
I apologize. I was nervous that we were offline for a second, but I wanted to ask you, like, what is next for you? I mean, you're a young guy. You have your whole life ahead of you. Uh, what do you? I know it's you don't have to give me a straight, but what do you want to do? Uh, what are you excited to do and passionate about doing now?
Right. Right now, I want to do normal things.
Okay.
Being a youth, go to school, be with friends, go to parties, but also continue with the things I'm doing right now. Research about these groups, talking about these things for other people, hopeful in my own language, so I won't fuck it up. Um, and I think when I have done it, I will continue with something else. I don't think I will be around forever in this topic.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I I really hope that people hear the story. This whole time, like when I was talking about wanting to interview you and see you, is like I just don't see a way, just because of the words that we're saying, like Nazi title, all this. I just don't know how many people will see this. I don't know if this video will get suppressed. But is there anything that like you want to plug, or like if there's a way people can follow you, want them to follow you? I'll make sure I put it in the link below. But if there's anything,
I guess not.
okay.
Maybe my Instagram.
That's what I was thinking, because you do have your Instagram, and then you have the article there linked that a lot of people can learn more stuff. I see you going into like politics later. That's what I see. I could see
No,
it. I could, or yeah, I give it. I don't know. I see that
I
because
want to be a lawyer.
okay, well that's cool as well. That's really cool.
Standing up for people's rights. I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, on I'm going to Stockholm on Sunday,
Okay, cool.
and on Monday I will attend Nyhetsmorgon on TV4.
Okay,
If you know about it,
yes, I'm. That's
that's the
great.
next thing.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm so happy for you to do that. That's why I'm so thankful that we could have this conversation, so it could be in a longer format that we could kind of go through everything and ask these questions and have these type of conversations. Is there anything that you feel that you need to say that you haven't said that you want people to know, or a part of your either a part of your story or just in general?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things I could say. I don't know actually. One thing myself I think is kind of interesting is the difference between nationalists or Nazis or alt-right from Europe, and then you look at them in United States.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I think they are more hillbillies in United States. Like they aren't like organized in the same way we are in Europe. That's my view.
Well, what's interesting you say that is that we had. I was home like last time I was in the U.S. I went to Charlottesville, and I don't know if you
Right.
remember, but Charlottesville
Yeah.
was where that was. What has happened now is like what you said has been true, and it's probably what happened in Europe as well. Is I just think because of the internet. I mean, look, there's a bunch of people that are flat earthers now, right? Now, what if you believe something and not a lot of people believe it around you, you can then connect with those people online and then organize something. And that was the first large time that we had Nazis in the states organize such a large rally, and that that ended in violence. So I agree. I agree with you about what you're saying. I think it's been like that for a long time, but I think that the internet has made a bit of a shift. Not that the internet's bad, but just the ability to communicate with people who think like
Actually, in Sweden we have, I think they are called something like Nordic alt-right,
okay,
and they are based in Sweden. And these people did attend in Charlottesville, and they
okay.
had contact with what is his name? The main leader on the alt-right in the United States. He's selling books and doing lectures and all
Oh,
that.
is it David Duke?
No, no, no. The young guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, the one that got punched. He's like a part of the alt, like that's because I know who you're talking about, but Spencer, David, something Spencer.
Yeah,
Okay,
Spencer.
that's right.
Uh, so these guys in Sweden and also the Nordic resistance movement have many contacts in the United States. And I don't know, you can see some new organizations in United States that are very familiar with organization we have in Sweden, but also in Europe. So I think they have like some kind of strong connection, and they help each other.
Okay, well, I have to tell you that I really appreciate your story. I think it's brave to come here and do this, but I also think it's really, really important, like I said, especially for young people to hear. So I just, yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I hope that this format worked. I hope that this podcast worked. I mean, I was definitely a little bit nervous and having to think because I was worried about the stream a little bit, but I really appreciated everything. I'm going to end the stream now, so thank you to everybody. I put your social media below. I'll stay on the line with you for a second though as I go. So bye everyone. Thank you.
But